The sun has hit me. Yes, the time has come. The rumors are true, even though there weren't any rumors to begin with, as far as I know. It's been more than a year and a half since I've done one of these, primarily because of the pandemic. But this is the beginning. I don't know how long it's going to take me to make enough episodes for it, but this is the beginning of Season 4 of Historic Murders of Portland. And I am here in downtown today. This is the first time I've been in downtown alone, on foot, by myself, meandering around since, I think, February 2020. And I'm at First and Market, which actually there was an infamous murder I discuss that happened here. There used to be a saloon here. A guy named Joe Guglielmo got shanked here on Christmas Day, I think 1902, paid with his life. But I want to go the next block down to Clay Street, and it's amazing how many murders I found that have happened in this vicinity. The Sunshine, I think it was called it was the Sunnyside, I think it was called the Sunnyside Saloon was here, where Joe Guglielmo was killed. On this block, I gotta keep my eyes open, make sure I don't get run over. And this is like, isn't there like an Oregonian building around here? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, on this block here, there used to be a restaurant, like right over here, the middle of this block. And there was a guy that killed someone. I think it was over a fight over money. Alari, I think was the guy's last name, just killed dead right here. There was another guy, Axel Nelson, I forget these names sometimes, and he had gotten into a confrontation with a guy at an apartment place that I think was right around the corner here, and then that resulted in the other guy. He apparently was making fun of this guy who had a handicap, and the guy got pissed and shot him a little ways further south of here. So coming up to First and Clay, and this is Murder Central. And I've got yet another one in this series, Historic Murders of Portland. So this intersection here is First and Clay. Clay being this street that goes up, so I'm currently crossing First Street. And logistically, Second Street is the next street up. Now, there was a guy by the name of Gus Berry who lived with his wife, Ann Wright. And they lived on Clay Street between First and Second. I don't know what side of the street they lived on. This was 1893, so obviously none of these structures, some of these structures I don't even think date back to 1993. So wherever they lived is no longer here, and I don't know if they lived on the north side of Clay or the south side where I'm currently standing. But anyway, they lived on this little one-block stretch. So in comes the third wheel, the spark of a lover's triangle, if you will. A fellow by the name of George Morey. Morey, if you can hear that. George Morey was interested in Ann Wright, who was married to Gus Berry. But he was still a suitor of hers nonetheless, which, this is 1893. Morey was setting himself up to be a victim of the unwritten law, which I've discussed so many times on my channel recently. It's pretty much a joke by now that I just reference it all the time. So, apparently, according to Anne, Gus Berry was a drinker, and he became abusive when he drank, like practically every husband in the Portland history pre-1950 or whatever. So she asked Morey to come over. Not, in a romantic sense, just come over and, spend the night, because, I'm worried my husband's gonna start drinking and he gets abusive when he drinks. And I don't know if Gus Berry personally realize that Maury was making the moves on his wife. It was mentioned in a newspaper that he didn't really care for Maury and the way he behaved around Anne, or Annie as he called her. So it seemed like he was at least suspicious of Maury's motives. But whatever the case, Anne asked him to come over, and it was supposed to be secretive. She wanted him, it was mostly he was going to be there for protection. Also, I think Anne probably just wanted him there. I can only assume at this point she was more interested in him than her drunken, abusive, derelict husband. So he was supposed to creep into the house. So it's the early morning hours of January 15th, 1893, and Maury is doing exactly what he's been asked to do. He shows up at the site of where Berry and Wright live, which again could have been on this side of the street, or it could have been on that side of the street. He sneaks around back very quietly, because he wants to peer in through the windows and see if Gus has gone to sleep yet. If Gus has gone to sleep, it'll be a lot easier for him to get into the house. Heck, even Anne could probably wake up, go downstairs, and just let him in through the front door. I don't know why I'm saying she went downstairs. I don't know if they had a 2-story house. But that's the plan. So yeah, to this point, Maury has done what he's asked. He's supposed to sneak into the house. Gus is not supposed to know he's there. And he's doing it. He sneaks around back. He's doing the job. But there's just one problem, and that is that because apparently Anne really knows how to pick him, he shows up drunk. So, he's specifically supposed to go over there, or I guess go over to here, to watch over Anne and to make sure her husband, if he does get drunk, doesn't raise a stupor, so he in turn gets drunk before going, because late 1800 men were just stupid drunks all across the board, it seems. So he shows up, and Anne and Gus had actually both gone to sleep fairly early, so Maury shouldn't have had anything to worry about. He peers in and he sees them asleep. He then creeps into their bedroom and in just a drunken fury pulls a gun out and just starts firing wildly. It wakes both of them up. Gus Berry, flips out of bed, lands on the ground, and it's just like, what the F? And then sees, oh no, it's Maury, who I know is after my wife, probably, and who I don't get along with very well. And Berry, he doesn't get shot, because, drunk guy spraying off random shots. He tries to make a run for the bedroom door, and right as he gets to the door, Morton gets off a shot that actually hits him. It went in through his back and entered his kidneys. And it was apparently just a very painful end for Gus Berry, who apparently he lived for weeks afterward, after being shot and after having this bullet lodge into his kidney. But finally, after a couple of weeks of holding on, probably in a lot of pain, I would think a bullet to a kidney would do that to you, he finally succumbed to his gunshot wound to the back. So what started out as a pretty simple premise kind of went south because one guy decided to get drunk off his ass, when ironically he was supposed to be there in case the other guy got drunk off his ass. Only in 1890s Portland. So it was a pretty open and shut case, especially it's the 1890s. People don't have any tolerance for drunken murder. So come March, about 3 months later, George Maury is pretty quickly convicted of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to be hung because, again, it's 1890s Portland. It's 1890s America when you really get down to it. So he was hung for his actions that were conducted somewhere along this stretch or somewhere along this stretch. I'm not dead certain, but right here on Clay, Southwest Clay, between 1st and 2nd Street, right up there, here in the more southern part of downtown Portland. However, despite the fact that he was abruptly convicted on first-degree murder and sentenced to be hung, he actually appealed his sentence, and the sentence was upheld, but apparently literally like 6 days before he was planned to be hung, his sentence actually was commuted to life. And I almost wonder if the fact that he was drunk off his ass had anything to do with it. I think if he came in sober and just went boom, 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 because when you think about it, he's the other man. He killed this guy who was married to the woman out of jealousy because he wanted the woman. Like, that kind of stuff wasn't being tolerated at that time, so it's really kind of surprising. You know, I'm surprised they didn't just draw and quarter this guy when they found out that he shot this guy because he wanted to covet his wife, I guess you could say. So it's very interesting that they actually kind of let this guy off the hook, and I gotta think the booze had something to do with it in the end. So it's a pretty quick, simple, open and shut story, but it's getting the ball rolling for the first time in about a year and a half. I'm back on the prowl. I'm in downtown where I love to be. And look I haven't been murdered by someone yet. I thought downtown Portland was supposed to be burning down. Wink. So I wanted to get it off with a bang with a very interesting story that I took notes on I don't even know how long ago. And it's an interesting one. It's kind of simple. Man is married to woman. Other man wants the woman wants him. But then it kind of flips him. Other man gets drunk, charges into their room and murders the husband in kind of a drunken stupor. You know, it's a new one. You know, in all the videos I've covered, taught about murders in Portland and the motivations. You know, men wanting to take married women or married women wanting to leave their abusive husbands, all that stuff. So it's definitely an interesting one. So I hope you enjoyed. And all that said, thank you so much for watching. Remember, as always, to like, share, subscribe, hit up my Patreon, because you know I'm posting stuff there frequently. I'm trying to post there a couple times a week. A lot of extra content you can only get if you become a Patreon supporter now. The link to that is in the description with this video, along with the links to my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my Reddit subreddit pages. All that stuff there, waiting for your perusal. And all that said, from my city, this has been Steve the Amateur Historian with another episode of Historic Murders of Portland.